couple years ago they had a bomb threat, but that was it. Nothing that manifested from that.
And then just tell me your feelings as a father, as a parent, when you do get this call from whoever it was at first. What goes through your mind?
To be angry, to be honest, anger, and then grateful. Grateful that, things probably could have been worse, but, my first instinct was to pray to make sure everyone was safe, even if someone was shot, that the Lord's will be done.
And I would imagine that's what's happening with a lot of parents out here as we wrap up, sharing your feelings, Leonard, of first anger, obviously being scared, and then praying that everyone's okay and saying we're thankful that our children, we are going to have them home as we are out here now waiting for these buses to arrive. So we appreciate your time. Until then, we're gonna send it back to you, Holly and Amanda.
All right, so the repeated message we're continuing to hear is the concern for safety. And were there for sure any security measures in place? Our Jeremy Finley is joining us now in studio. We know you've been looking into this and you do have some new information.
We do, guys. So I know every parent that is watching this right now is asking, how in the world did this gun get into this high school, especially what this city has encountered with school shootings? So I want to let you know, first of all, if there's any breaking details that come out, we're going to go live out there so you can continue to hear from parents and students. But what I want you to know is what we have found out about security measures in metro schools, specifically this school. So last year, the whole district implemented a new security measure that's called Omni Alert. So Omni Alert is AI technology that alerts the district through their existing system when a gun is detected within a school. So this was sold to metro school districts as a real way that the districts can know, using their current technology, again, using AI and cameras, if a gun is actually seen within a school. But the key in all of this is that the gun itself has to be detected by the cameras. We do not know in this case if the gun was at all revealed until the moment when the shootings occurred. But we do know that the system is in place in every metro, at least high school. We know that. And we also know that this cost about $1 million for metro schools to implement. But let's think of the reality of what this is. So this technology is in place, but again, it only works if the cameras detect that gun. We're hearing a lot of parents and a lot of students saying, look, we don't have metal detectors. So what I did is I printed off all of Metro's own data on enhancing school safety for metro schools. There is no mention on any of this about metal detectors. What they do talk about having, and we've seen this, those of us who have been in the city for a while and have reported on this, they have security vestibules that you have to kind of pass through. A lot of times they will have wands, but what we don't know is that those wands are used every day. So of course they're going to have the same standard procedures that we have in most schools, that the classrooms are locked when something like this happens. And of course there are security cameras. We know that. They talk about this here. They also talk about that you have to be buzzed in. You heard a mother talk about that when she dropped off her son earlier today, that she had to be buzzed in to go in. But when all of the kids are coming into school at the beginning of the day, we don't know if every one of them is patted down. We don't know if they are given wands. But obviously somehow this gun got into the school. So that is going to be the question. You heard a young man say a moment ago that they used to have metal detectors. We're working to verify if that in fact is true, and if they did, why it was taken out. That's something we're working on. But one thing that I have been looking into is the history of violence with this school. And here's what we know. In just the last couple of years, last October, a young man was arrested at the school. He was found to be carrying a gun, but it happened as he carried the gun into school. So according to the information from police, that this happened on October 16th of 2024. The young man was arrested. We don't know his age, but they were tipped off that this boy had brought a gun to school. Metro Police were there and able to anticipate that happening. Were able to get the gun. At the time, the student told police that the gun did not belong to him. But this just happened last October, that a gun was actually brought to the school. The very next month, in November 19th of 2024, someone made a false threat against this high school. They said and anticipated that they were going to carry out a school shooting on that day. That was November 19th, 2024. Police say that someone told them about a social media post that made this threat. They began to investigate. They ultimately looked out into it, turned out to be a hoax, but officers were sent that school as a precaution. I just want to tell you about 3 years ago, I did an investigative piece into the schools with the most violence, and we specifically looked at fights, which is obviously something that schools deal with all the time. What we found, and this data comes from 2021 to 2022, that Antioch High School had the 4th highest number of fights in the district. So that data is a couple years old, but it does indicate that for years, at least between the 2021 and 2022 school year, that it already had a history of violence. So that is kind of your update on where we are with history and technology at this school. We've got a lot more questions to be asking. And of course, we'll fill you in as soon as we get them. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, Jeremy, to see how that Omni Alert system is going to be judged based on what happened today and how it worked or didn't work. So more to come on that.
All right, now we're going to check in with our Jordan. Our Jordan James is joining us live, and he looks to be in front of the reunification center there. Good afternoon to you, Jordan. What can you tell us there?
Well, good evening, Holly. I can tell you that hundreds of parents are standing out here waiting to reunite with their children following this shooting. You can certainly feel the concern in the air. Several parents have been standing out here for over an hour, and I actually want to bring in one of the parents who has been standing out here with me. Ma'am, just kind of talk to me about what was it like when you found out that a shooting had took place here at Antioch High School?
Oh, I was shocked, nervous, scared, wasn't sure what was going on. I got the first call from my daughter before I got anything from Metro Schools. And yeah, it was just scary. So when I read it on the news and seen what happened, not only was I thinking about my daughter, I was thinking about everybody else's children. It's just hard to get the news. And then if it's, you know, the parent of the child, of the incident, it just can be devastating. I know it is. Condolences go out. More metal detectors or more security officers. 2 is not enough for a school that big for 2,000 children or more.
And I mean, speaking of those security measures, how do you feel sending your child back to school moving forward in light of this incident?
Nervous. I want to do homeschooling, and then you have, you know, all the other attributes that you need for that. You don't send your child to school, then you get truancy. It's just chaotic, and they just need more security for the children.
And then something that stood out to me, you told me you were able to talk with your daughter by phone, but she possibly heard the gunshots?
Yes, she said she heard it. She was scared. I guess they had a substitute teacher at the time, and she was just, I guess, unaware of the process. And she was just real nervous, and all the children were in there just scared and didn't know what to do. She was letting people use her phone to call their parents as well, to inform them on what's going on. I was just nervous. My job let me go, paid time off, and I'm just here to try to get my child now safely home and, you know, talk about everything that's going on and what has been posted already on the internet.
And lastly, I mean, what will that moment be like when you finally get the chance to reunite with your daughter after hours of talking with her?
I'm just gonna give her a hug. And then I'm gonna talk to her about, you know, how to carry yourself and be aware of your surroundings. Even though you're at school and you feel protected, you still need to be focused and have, you know, awareness of what's going on. Just talk to her about, you know, how to conduct herself, and we just all have to be careful out here in the world today.
Absolutely. Well, Holly and Amanda, that's the sentiment out here. A lot of parents standing around waiting to reunite with their children. I'm going to send it back to you in studio.
We're seeing some of that reunification happen on the live camera that we were just showing you, and hopefully we can go back to that. I mean, this is remarkable to see. We've got someone with a megaphone kind of in the center of the crowd, likely saying the names of the students to reunite them with their respective parents. We've got students that are hanging out of the bus windows and communicating with their loved ones that way while they wait to get off. So some of the very important moments of the day happening for parents right here.
So many of the students, you see some of them getting off, actually then trying to find their parents. They're still waiting. And then obviously many of these parents waiting for their child, who you can see some of them are still on the bus. Several of these buses have made their way back and unloaded. These have not just yet. Again, a lot of these parents having to just park wherever they could. We know the streets have all been backed up, so they've been walking to this reunification center, just trying to find their child, get in touch with their child. And the big question, too, it just keeps coming back to what Jeremy brought up, is how did the gun get into the school? Of course, this is going to be an ongoing discussion that we are going to be talking about for some time, including school leaders, parents, lawmakers, trying to figure out how this could happen yet again. The very latest information, you know, we heard from students saying there's no metal detectors in the schools. But we are all hearing again about this Omni alert, this artificial intelligence technology that.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, we've got
Mom and
loved
daughter
ones hugging each other as they're finally reunited. What a moment that is, too, by the way. I mean, these parents have been waiting for hours now to see their children, to hold their children, to tell their children again, I love you. That's happening right now.
And take them home. So we're going to try to continue to bring you more reunions as we describe the situation and what has happened as more of these students do get off the bus. Again, with this Omni alert, trying to figure out, so the cameras are supposed to detect any gun, and that was in place at this high school. It's in place at all of the metro high schools, yet somehow this 17-year-old male shooter got a hold of a gun and had it inside the school cafeteria. If you are just joining us, still a very active scene. We know the situation there at the school itself is contained. 2 people are dead, 2 students are dead. 1, the shooter who turned the gun on himself, and 1 female victim.
It's just remarkable to see all of this happening there. And some of the people in the crowd are people that we've interviewed who are anxiously waiting to reunite with their children, and some of them are still waiting. We've seen video from inside of the school where students were just sitting in various rooms waiting for this moment as well. So there's been a lot of waiting, and finally this is the moment that parents and students are both looking forward to. Steve Mailing has been talking with a lot of folks who are in that very position, from students and parents as well. Steve.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I was speaking, as we just had about 15 minutes ago, speaking with Joanna. Her son, who's a freshman, was in there waiting inside that gym. He was actually waiting on a bus in the parking lot to be taken here. As you can see now, a lot of parents have gathered to the front of this bus as the students are hanging out the windows, speaking to their families. It's kind of those first smiles you see between a kid and their parent as they're back here in this parking lot and they're fully waiting to be reunited. It's kind of a bit of organized chaos right now, though. Obviously, these parents are hoping to sign their kids out as quickly as possible and just get them in their arms as soon as they can. But they have a process for doing this. They're trying to call out the students' names, have the parents come verify that they're their parent, and then sign them out, of course. But on the bright side, no matter a tragic situation that we're covering here today, this is definitely the brighter side of the situation. To see these families once again reuniting, holding each other, being able to share this moment of relief, that weight off their shoulders as they see their kids once again after this whole incident unfolded, guys.
Are you able to hear, Steve, any of these conversations? Because we see a lot of students who have been on these buses for what seems like or feels like a while now, just communicating through the window with their loved ones.
I mean, really, at this point, the students are just waving and saying hi, saying I love you to their parents as they're out here waiting on the hill to be reunited with them. As you can see, a hug right there at the front of the school bus. That's I mean, there are no words for that moment to describe this moment properly. It's just such a beautiful thing to finally see these families reuniting with each other after such a scary incident at the school. Obviously, these parents never imagined, the parents we spoke with never imagined something like this would happen at their schools, but now they're finally able to see each other again. I know a lot of conversations are going to be had, obviously, in the households that we spoke to, at least, of whether or not they will be sending their kids back. But for right now, they're just able to once again, like I said, guys, enjoy this moment, say I love you again, and be with their parents.
And it's a mass reunification, too, because we're talking about 2,000 students attending that high school. Right now, we're going to go live to our Jordan James, who is talking to a student. Tell us who you're talking with this afternoon.
Well, good evening, Holly. Some of those students just got off the bus, and right now I'm joined with a freshman here at Antioch, Serenity. So, Serenity, just kind of take me back to this morning and what this entire process has been like for you.
Well, it was scary because our teacher wasn't here and we had a sub, so she didn't know what to do. She didn't lock the classroom door. It was teachers. They was trying to help, but they really couldn't. And the students, it was like being loud, not taking it serious. So I was scared. And then I heard the shots. I didn't know what to do. So I just called my mom. I really don't know what to really say because I didn't think I'll ever like be in this situation before. But I've always been scared of like be in a school building and they start shooting or something like that. I've always been scared of that. So having it happen, it was just like, I couldn't really believe it, but it was like, I don't know. I really don't know what to say.
And to find out that 2 of your peers died in this shooting, has that resonated with you just yet?
Yeah, because you really can't trust no one for real. And it's the fact that he had the gun in the school building. It just makes me feel like, I don't know, I can't really trust anyone. So it's like, I'm just scared. I really don't know.
And, you know, speaking of being scared, I mean, how do you feel returning to this Antioch at some point in time?
I'm going to feel a little uneasy, probably a little nervous, but I'm going to try to push through the day. But I don't know. I really don't know.
And finally, talk about being able to embrace your mother after hours of being on the phone with her and to stand with her here right now. How does this feel to you?
It feels good because the students that got shot or died, they're not able to do that, and their parents are also grieving right now. So it's like the fact I'm able to be with my mom right now makes me feel happy and safe because not other people can, you know, do that right now. So.
All right. Well, thank you, Serenity. And Holly and Amanda, that's the sentiment out here. A lot of students and parents are feeling grateful to embrace their loved ones after the tragedy that occurred here at Antioch High School. I'll send it back to you in studio.
So many questions, too, when you hear her saying that the substitute wasn't really sure what to do in those moments. So a lot of questions that we've got to get answered in the coming days here.
Yeah, and it's the second time we've heard that about a substitute teacher not knowing exactly what to do. All right, now we're going to break away from that and go to Danielle Ledbetter. She's joining us live now with another interview. Tell us who you're talking to, Danielle.
Yeah, Holly, so I'm with Charlene Oliver. Can you tell us, how did you learn about this news and what made you come up here?
Well, I was at the Capitol in my office and started getting a lot of text messages from colleagues and that there was a shooting in Antioch High School. And I said, that's my district, so I wanted to come check on folks here.
And what have you learned about the situation?
There was a news article, basically, that news alert that came on my phone, and again, just started checking text messages. I got off the Zoom call that I was on, and I had a meeting with the mayor at noon, but I said, this is more important. I need to come over here. So.
And since you've been kind of on the scene and talking to people, have you learned any new information or anything like that?
Since being here, I've obviously learned that 2 of the students are deceased now, and my heart and prayers go out to the parents and families and their loved ones. This is not something that none of us want to be here. And I'm here at the reunification site trying to be helpful, trying to just offer moral support. A lot of people are anxious, as am I, and learning that they have some students held, some of the families and parents haven't heard from their child, and some of the students don't have phones because they left them at home. So a lot of folks are just really like, I need to get to my child. So.
And my last question for you, I see that emotion coming up out of you right now. Talk to us about, what is that?
You know, I'm a mother. I have a child in high school, 9th grade. So you never want to get this call. I'm just empathetic to, I'm sick of this happening. I'm sick of this happening to Nashville. I'm sick of this happening to our babies. The trauma that they're going to endure, whether you witness this incident or not, sticks with you. Now the memory of being in the cafeteria now will come with you whenever you're in a school. So my heart aches for these babies that they're having to grow up in situations that are avoidable and preventable. my colleagues can do something about this. We can do something about preventing and limiting school shootings. Obviously, you don't know how people are going to act. And also, when it comes to mental health, we don't know what folks are going through. It's a tough times right now.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the moment out to speak with us. We really do appreciate it. And so that's kind of the same general sentiment that we are seeing out here from a lot of parents. So I'm going to go ahead and send it to you guys back in the studio. Marius, Lauren.
Danielle Ledbetter, thank you so much. Her words were very powerful. She said, you never want to get this call. I'm sick of this happening to Nashville. I'm sick of this happening to our babies.
Yeah, how many tears do we have to see cried in the city, right, over this issue? Again, it's 2 o'clock right now. Want to reset some of our breaking news coverage for you. At 11:11 today, that is when police were called to Antioch High School because just 2 minutes earlier, a deadly shooting had taken place. A female student was shot directly. A male shooter, 17 years old, armed with a pistol, took the life of another student and then took the life of himself. We also know, as a combination between Metro Nashville Police and Vanderbilt University Hospital, that 2 people are injured. So here we are now, the second deadly shooting in this city in just a matter of years.
667 days since the Covenant shooting, and a community is going through this once again. We want to get out to our Dryden Quigley, who is standing by right now. And Dryden, what are you seeing, and what can you tell us?
Yeah, we're live here with mom Aisha, who has just been reunified with her daughter. Talk to me a little bit about how are you feeling?
Feeling very emotional, relieved that I had my baby, but like I said, still sad for the parents who didn't get to reunify this way and who unfortunately don't get to reunify.
And you had a son and a daughter both inside the school. Talk to me a little bit about, how your day was, this phone call that you said you got from your son.
My son called me and he was screaming and running, and I could hear him running. I could hear kids screaming in the background. And he said, Mama, they're shooting, come get me. And I didn't ask any questions. I just jumped up. I lived 3 minutes from the school, so I just jumped up and I came. And he told me where he was standing, so I got him in the car and tried to go in the school, but of course it was on lockdown, so that was at like 11:10, and I'm just now getting my baby girl. She's a junior, and she was in class. And she didn't even know what was going on when I called her. She thought that I was just joking. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. There's a shooting. And then she called me back and said, Mama, we're on lockdown. They're not letting us out. And so I'm just now able to get her. And she's not doing too well.
And this isn't the first time that your children, unfortunately, have been near some violence like this.
No, it's not. We were working at the restaurant, Roasted, when the shooting happened on Easter Sunday, and they witnessed that entire thing too. So I've just now been able to kind of get them back acclimated to getting out of the house and going in public, and then this happens.
We are so sorry, and I'm so glad you're able to hold them in your arms again. Tell me a little bit, what was it like to be able to hug both of them, getting off the bus?
It was emotional. It was very emotional. My daughter, I just need to check on her because she's not doing good. She didn't even want to talk.
Wow. And I know that's the same for a lot of families and students around here. There are still tons of parents out here waiting to be reunited with their children. Thank you so much, Aisha.
Dryden Quigley reporting live for us right now. It's the constant theme you hear from parents. About an hour ago, one of our reporters interviewed a man who said, and I quote, "It's a free-for-all inside Antioch High School," were the parents' words. And you think about the healing that has to happen from that.
And you talk about healing. Though her daughter witnessed another shooting just months ago. And now she's going through that second incident again.
Let's go to our Steve Mailing right now. Steve, you actually have the perspective of students who were inside the school at the time.
Lauren, Marius, that's correct. I'm actually here with Orlin. Orlin was actually in science class when this whole thing happened. Can you walk me through exactly what you were just telling me about?
So I was in science class, and then we see multiple people just like leaving school, running out of school, and we didn't know what was going on. So people started testing on their phone, and out of nowhere on the intercom, they're talking about some lockdown code blue. And my teacher, Coach Major, she just springs into action, starts barricading the doors, and then she told us to go sit in the corner and like just be quiet as possible. And so we were just there for 30 minutes. And after the 30 minutes, we started hearing banging outside. But luckily, it was just the police. They came in guns. They they broke down the door basically, make sure nobody was in there, and they said it was like good. That's it.
What's going through your mind when you see a bunch of cops coming through your classroom door? I can't imagine this is something that you expect to happen when you're in science class.
Nah, I'm gonna lie. When they came in, they had the lights on, and like I was terrified. I thought I was gonna die. So I thought it was a shooter. Cause they just broke down the door, no talking, nothing. They broke it down. They're just like guns out, pointing at everybody with the light. So I thought it was the last time I was gonna be alive.
Now, obviously, you're here with your mother. Can you walk me through that feeling? We saw you hanging out the window of the bus before, finally able to kind of see her. Just talk me through that feeling with your mom, just spending that moment to be with her again.
Yeah, so coming here, you know, I was happy because we were finally out. I was with one of my friends, and finally seeing my mom was like a relief, being able to see my mom, because I didn't know if it was going to be the last time this morning, so I'm glad.
Is there anything like that you guys said to each other when you first got off the bus?
I love you. Or I just hugged her. I hugged her, and I just hugged her. I don't know what else. I just hugged her. That's it. I just hugged my mom.
Orland, are you afraid to have to go back into school the next day you were in school? Is that something that you're now going to have to think about, you know?
Am I scared to go back? In a way, I'm a little scared, yeah, because, like, I was having fun. I was in art and, like, playing the game with my friends on the phone. And then, I don't know, after fifth block, it all happened. So, yes, I am scared to go back to school, just in case. You never know what happens.
Is there anything that you'd like to see happen safety-wise to the school? Do you think that more needs to be done?
Yes, most definitely. This should not be happening at a local school where people, like, go to get their education. This is not right. There should be more security out there, or metal detectors or something to make sure people don't have guns or anything like that, like knives or anything. This is not right.
Orland, we're glad that you're safe. I'm glad that you're reunified with your mother. You know, we appreciate your time, of course. And Marius, Lauren, I'll send things back to you.
Yeah, Steve, thanks so much.
Yeah, we have got some insight from a lot of people that have been inside the school. We just heard of something that happened that went right. He told us that the lockdown code blue was calling. Teachers they jumped into action right there, started barricading doors and told everyone to be quiet so they could, you know, go through that process.
You know, I think it brings up for all of us, anyone who hasn't ever been in a school shooting before, when you hear that it happened in the cafeteria, your mind might immediately go to the, 1,500 or so other students who would have been in class at the time, and we automatically know they're safe. But for the people who were in that building at the time, they had no idea if they were going to be safe. And you heard from that student, for 30 minutes, they were barricaded in that room. For 30 minutes, they had to sit there wondering if these were the last minutes of their lives.
And every noise they hear, the police coming to save them, they don't know that that's actually happened. You know, we talked to a few students who said they're scared to come back to school. What does school look like tomorrow, Friday, Monday? What does it look like?
We do have an update from Metro Schools. They've just posted on X, and I want to read some of this directly to you. I'm reading it at the same time that you're hearing it here. They're saying any students who usually take the bus to school will be delivered home on their regular routes if they haven't already been picked up. And that's going to begin at 2:15, which as we speak is 6 minutes from right now. And then students who drove to school will be brought back to Antioch High School so that they can get their car once police have cleared this parking lot. We do know that SWAT had already been through the school. They did clear it by about 1 o'clock this afternoon. When you think about it, it took almost 2 hours to get to that point. But you know, in 6 minutes from now, we're going to have another update that will be crucial for the next bit of information we're going to learn.
Yeah, we talked to a mom who said she got a call from her daughter at 11:10, and she had just been reunited with her daughter 3 hours later. So this is a slow process, but it's a process that must be done to keep everything in order.
Absolutely. There's been so many questions about security at the school. It's something that our WSMV4 Investigates team has looked into and studied. Antioch is considered one of the, I should say, fourth on the list of the most incidents, security incidents at that school. We know there's been a bomb threat there before. We know that students have been arrested at multiple different occasions for bringing guns into school. We also know there are no metal detectors in that school. One of the students we heard from earlier today was talking specifically about there being metal detectors initially, but then after a week or so, they were gone. We know that there are detection systems, but not anything necessarily that would be able to detect a concealed weapon at this school specifically.
And that is of concern to many parents out there as they talk about what to do next. You know, a lot of the parents we talked to said, we need more. We need more security. We do know that Antioch High School had 2 SRO officers on duty when this shooting occurred. By the time they reached that incident, it was already over.
Right.
So you had the people in place, the school resource officers in place, but they were helpless because it was over by the time they got there.
Which points to it being targeted, right? I mean, we've seen in other situations where shootings are not as targeted, where they're more indiscriminate. It does seem, by the nature of this one, that it is more targeted, simply because you have a 17-year-old holding a pistol inside the cafeteria, shooting one female specifically. We don't know the names of either of these people. We don't know the age of the female victim. And we also don't know the names or ages of the 2 other people who were also, one receiving a graze wound on their arm, and then the other who was also injured in this incident. But we do know after that female was shot, the shooter turned the gun on himself. We know that for sure.
Yeah, we also know that for 2 families, they won't have kids coming home tonight. And for dozens, hundreds, maybe even thousands of other parents, they have questions to answer to the kids that have witnessed this, and that will be their innocence was taken from them. They're going to be charred from this.
So there are more than 2,000 kids that go to this school. It is majority minority, something upwards of 82% minority, 41 different languages spoken at this school. So you think about even the dissemination of information that has to take place in a situation like this, and it can't all and only go out in English. You have 41 different languages spoken at this school, and there has to be information shared with each of them. We also are hearing that video of this incident is already circulating on social media. It's already on TikTok. It's already going amongst the students of the school. We are working to verify what we can, and we can assure you here on WSMV4 that we will always operate with the highest integrity to only show you what we know can be confirmed. And we are watching the clock as well. It's 2:13 right now to the second. And so when we hit 2:15, that's the point that we're supposed to hear from the mayor, Freddie O'Connell, here in Nashville. We're also supposed to hear from Metro Nashville Public Schools. That will be the moment that we learn new information. We also are hearing from other people as well.
Yeah, we have some sound from parents right now who are on premises, and they're experiencing this. Let's listen in.
To be angry, to be honest, anger, and then grateful. Grateful that, you know, things probably could have been worse, but, you know, my first instinct was to pray to make sure everyone was safe, even if someone was shot, that the Lord's will be done.
Such a difficult reality. And I will say, nothing like tragedy brings you closer to getting on your knees than this. I mean, this is one of those times where people just stop.
He talked about emotions, and I'm sure a lot of parents are running through the gamut of emotions, helplessness, hopefulness, gratefulness, anger. They're going through the whole spectrum of emotion
Well, it's the thing that you can't protect your children from,
Yeah.
right? When things begin to happen around you, and it's an existential crisis, there's no question. Our Jordan James has been down there talking with parents as well. Jordan, what do you have to share right now?
Well, Lauren, I can tell you that at this point in time, parents are still waiting to reunite with their children. In fact, I'm joined with one right now. Ma'am, just talk to me about what this process has been like, standing out here in the cold, waiting to embrace your loved ones.
I mean, basically, I know some people were here longer than me, but I got here like after 12, and it's now after 2. And every bus you go to, they're telling you, okay, line up on the side of the bus and wait for your kids. But you have a list of kids that are on the bus. Call off the list. Let us know who's coming off which bus so that we could know, okay, is this a bus we need to go to? And then they're getting aggressive and telling you, oh, I need you to move away from the bus. How? So what do you want me to do? You want me to go towards the bus? You want me to stay away from the bus? What do you want me to do? Because it's a tough process. You could just call off the list that you have because you made the kids write their name before they enter the bus. So just call off the list, and then we'd know how to move forward with getting our kids.
Certainly a lot of frustration out here. Ma'am, talk to me a little bit about how you found out about this shooting and how your nephew and your son are doing right now.
Both of them are really good. My nephew, he was actually in the cafeteria when it happened. So he actually called me while it was going on, and he was like, it's a school shooting, it's a school shooting. So I told him, I said, basically, you know, drop to the ground, just roll under something, get to something, you know. And then he called me back about 5 minutes after that. See, this is him calling me now. He called me back 5 minutes after that, and he said, hey, you know, they neutralized the shooter. The shooter, you know, either he shoot himself or, but something happened. So he's like, he don't know what's going to happen now, but he can keep me updated. But that's basically it.
And to hear that, you know, 2 people died, 2 people injured, just reflect on that reality.
I mean, the reality of it is, like I told my other loved ones, like, you know, I'm fortunate to be going to pick up my kids, because plenty of people can't go to pick up their kids, or they have to go to hospitals to pick up their kids, you know what I mean? So this is a bit frustrating to pick them up from buses, but at the same time, it's better than having to pick them up from a hospital or go to a morgue and have to identify them, you know? So it's not as bad, but it's still a little frustrating because we're all scared. We don't know if it's, like, for the persons who can't reach their kids, they don't know if it's their kids that is injured. You know what I'm saying? So try to be more lenient with people and try to understand our frustration at the same time, too.
And lastly, we've been talking with parents out here. They said they would like to see more security measures put in place. I understand they have 2 SROs. Some people are saying they need to have metal detectors in place. What's your stance on this position in terms of security measures at Antioch High School?
I mean, with that, I feel like it's crazy, because why is a child even in the school with a gun? Like, don't you have, like, measures in place that, okay, when you're coming into the school, you guys walk through a metal detector? Like, that should be something that's mandatory here in Antioch, knowing that we have so many school shootings. So it's frustrating. It really is frustrating, and it makes you want to say, why send your kid to school and not going to school to learn that basically some of them are going to get killed? It's the reality of it, you know? To say, I'm so sorry to say it like that, but that's just what it is.
All right, well, ma'am, Marius, Lauren, that's the sentiment out here. A lot of parents are anxiously waiting to reunite with their loved ones, but also want to see changes happen moving forward in light of this shooting. I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio.
Jordan, thank you. And I hear somebody on the megaphone right now. Please, by all means, listen to what they're saying. And if it's something we need to know, don't hesitate to jump back in to give us the information. Thank you.
Yeah, you talk about the parents, and then, okay, we have our Steve Mailing right now. He is standing by. Steve, what do you have, and what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, Marius, Lauren, I just wanted to come back on here and share some words from the mother and son we just spoke to a little while ago. She only spoke Spanish, so one of our photojournalists was able to talk to her and tell me a bit about what she was sharing in reaction to this incident. She said that she had a 24-year-old son who's gone to Antioch High School and graduated. This was never a problem 10 years ago for her. This was not even a thought on her mind 10 years ago for her. Now it's reality. She had to watch as her son was bussed in here, hanging out this window, just waiting to reunite with his mother, which was obviously a very warming moment for them, but it's bittersweet, as I mentioned before, just to have this moment to embrace with each other. She says she's wondering how these people got the gun. She's wondering how the gun got into the school. All questions we've been hearing from parents this entire time as we've been out on this scene for hours now. Parents wondering what security measures are going to change, what security measures are going to go into place at this school now that this has happened once again here in Nashville. As you can see, there are still many parents on this hill waiting to reunite with their students. We have a couple buses that are finally offloading some of them. Lauren had mentioned the megaphone a little while before. That's them announcing, letting them know, hey, we're going to try to make this as orderly as possible.
All the students are coming here. The students are coming here. I want to make that clear. There was a text that was sent out that was incorrect. All the students are coming here and will be brought here.
We are learning new information. So there was a text that was sent out, maybe that students were going to be taken home. We're now learning right here that they are going to be taken here. The students are going to be brought to the reunification center. So that's something new just happening seconds ago that we're learning now for parents at home as well. So obviously all of these parents here are waiting to reunite with their kids. The kids are going to now all be brought here from what we are hearing from Metro Police's safety team. So that's something to keep in mind here as we continue to monitor this very active scene and ongoing situation. For now, Lauren, Marius, I'll send things back to you.
Hey, Steve, I have a quick question for you. What's the process of when that bus pulls up, and how quickly are parents being reunited once that bus stops?
The reuniting process, Marius, can take minutes. I've seen some will take 30 to 45 minutes. Some parents have been waiting here for hours, some familiar faces that we've seen on this hill. The process is they take one student down off the bus and they match them with their parent. They get them signed out. So it is a little bit of a lengthy process, but it's for the kids' safety to ensure that they're going to the right person in this situation. So obviously a lot of parents are very anxious to see their kids, understandably so, in this situation following this incident. But it is a little bit of a lengthy process. It's that new protocol that we had talked about earlier in our coverage that's a part of this whole situation. So a lot of patience is being exercised here as parents anxiously wait for their kids. It is a little bit lengthier, but they seem to have this kind of under control right now, guys.
All right, and all of this, we should point out once again, if you're just catching up with us, 3754 Murfreesboro Pike. This is at Ascension Medical Group. That's where the reunification center is. Of course, it's away from a hospital. It's away from the school because there are their own series of investigations happening inside the school. And so then the kids are being brought there.
And as you can see, there's buses all over the place. There's a lot of kids that still need to be reunited with their families. And as Steve said, this process could take minutes. It could take up to 40 minutes, 45 minutes. So it's slow going, but it's something that needs to happen.
I think also from one of the mothers we just heard from just a moment ago, who was speaking with our Jordan James, I think it brings into focus something that if we've never been involved in a school shooting, we don't necessarily think of this. But in addition to your child experiencing this, in so many of these instances, we've heard a child calling the parent saying, what do I do? And so it's not just the parents having this reality of, oh my goodness, my child is in the middle of this thing. It's also, in many of these situations, the parent is telling the child how to survive. And so there's a lot of trauma with something like this because it's full-on survival.
There's a lot of trauma, but a lot of questions right now from the parents who have been reunited with their children. A lot of the questions that we are hearing is, how did that person get the gun into school? How does something like this happen? Where were the metal detectors? Where was the detection system that's supposed to prevent something like this?
Yeah, and again, it does seem targeted because when you realize that a person was able to get into a school with a gun undetected and be in a cafeteria where, I mean, look, there's 2,000 kids at this school. In some estimations, more than 2,000. And so if it's 9th through 12th, you've got about 500 or so kids in every single one of these grades. No matter what grade was in the cafeteria at the time, you've got about 500 kids inside the cafeteria. If this person, who is the shooter, wanted this to be an indiscriminate shooting, there could have been way more loss of life than just the person, the female who was shot and killed, and the shooter himself after he turned the gun on himself.
Now, we have a lot of questions, and a lot of questions will come up as this goes on. I was on the Every Town for Gun Safety website, and if this is in fact a targeted shooting, they quote, in all targeted school violence, 100% there were warning signs that caused others to be concerned. So as we move forward, I'm sure we will look for these warning signs to see if anything was out there that someone should have caught.
We've just gotten a news release from the Professional Educators of Tennessee. It's all about this shooting, and it's specifically coming from the executive director of the Professional Educators of Tennessee. This is another thing. I'm just seeing it. I'm going to read part of it to you. It'll be my first time as well. They're saying, quote, "We are heartbroken by the school shooting that occurred today at Antioch High School." And they're saying our prayers are with all of the people involved, with the students, educators, parents, as well as Metro Nashville Public Schools, with the staff as well. And then they go on to say, this issue of school shootings is complex and influenced by various factors, including access to firearms, mental health challenges, societal pressure, and a significant lack of adequate support system. There's going to be no question that with this, once again, a deadly school shooting happening in our city, that all of these issues are going to be coming up to the forefront again. And Marius, I will point out, we are in the midst, at the very beginning of a legislative session.
Yes.
We were in the midst of a legislative session 2 years ago during the Covenant school shooting. What happens now?
And what has changed since the Covenant shooting?
If anything.
A lot of parents are asking that question right now. A lot of parents who don't have kids that go to the Covenant or Antioch High School, because the question of if and when is coming up to them as well.
We do know, if you are just joining our coverage, it'd be worth adding, we've heard from students who've spoken directly with our reporters on scene, who we've carried live here in our coverage, who have said to us they had substitute teachers that day. Or today, I should say. They've had substitute teachers in their classroom, and when the code blue was called over the loudspeaker, the substitutes had no idea what to do.
Yeah, one of the students said that the door wasn't barricaded from their substitute teacher.
Or wasn't even locked in one situation,
locked
too.
At all, wasn't barricaded. So one of the questions that will be asked, are substitute teachers, is the information about these processes being downloaded to the substitute teachers?
We've just gotten a correction that's come in. Producers back there, can you tell me who this is coming from? Okay, this is from Don Aaron with Metro Nashville Police. We are learning that the student who was grazed in the cafeteria was a male, not a female. So remember, the student who was the shooter is a 17-year-old male. The female who died, or the person who died, is a female. We had been told that 2 people were also injured, one of whom was a female, but we're being told now it's a male student who was grazed by a bullet. That person, we know, is in a stable condition at a hospital.
Now, for more clarification on everything that's been going on, we have a press conference happening at the bottom of the hour, about 2:30, where MNPS as well as the mayor will be speaking and sharing more information, the very latest information that has come forward after this shooting. You can see Mayor Freddie O'Connell as well as MNPD Chief Drake right there. They're about to have a press conference at the bottom of the hour.
Looks like they were walking up just to the top of the hill. Oftentimes what happens in these kinds of news conferences is we're given warnings. We're told, hey, coming up in a few minutes, we're going to begin. That 5-minute warning was already given, so we are going to stay on top of this shot for you. Not going to step away, because at any point they could step up to the mic. Chief Swan there as well, the Metro Fire Chief, and then
the District Attorney as well. We see him. It looks like they are preparing. Don Aaron right now talking to Chief Drake as they are about to approach the mic and start this press conference. A lot of people are sitting on the edge of their seat waiting for the very latest information.
You know who I don't see is Dr. Adrienne Battle with MNPS. We'll see if she takes the mic at some point. Let's listen in here.
Ready to go? All right, this afternoon we have a briefing with several of our city's leaders. Chief John Drake will begin the briefing, followed by Mayor Freddie O'Connell. Mayor O'Connell will be followed by Metro Schools Director Dr. Adrienne Battle. Also here is District Attorney Glenn Funk and Nashville Fire Department OEM Director Chief William Swan. Chief John Drake.
Thank you, Don, and thank you all for being here during this unfortunate time. What we know thus far is that we had a male student that was 17 years old that rode the bus this morning to Antioch High School. During the course of the morning, this individual made his way to the cafeteria where he then confronted a 16-year-old, as we identified as a female Hispanic student, fired, striking her. She is deceased. There is another male 17-year-old young man that was wounded with a graze wound, and he has been treated at Vanderbilt and released. The shooter was 17 years old. He entered into the cafeteria, firing multiple rounds in the cafeteria, striking her, and then before pulling the weapon on himself. From that point, at 11:11, we started receiving calls for service. Officers responded and found the male shooter deceased in the cafeteria. We've been working with our state and federal partners on the identification and notifications of all. From that point, our SWAT team began systematic searches throughout the entire school to make sure there weren't any more victims or shooters within the school. We did not find any more. Since that time, we have started a family assistance center where we've worked very closely with Metro Schools. The Family Safety Center is right behind us at the Ascension Medical Center. We are systematically releasing young students to that location to be connected back with their parents. We've done that systematically so we wouldn't overload the parents or the school system so that we could get everyone back connected. The investigation is still very much ongoing as to a motive. We're looking into that. There are some materials on the internet that we're looking at that's under the investigation on the initial stages, but we'll continue to follow up on that. We've had a great partnership with Metro Schools, great communication with the fire department, with TBI, FBI, and ATF. And we'll continue the investigation, which will go until the wee hours of the morning. Please look at our platforms for further information. At this time, I will turn this over to Mayor O'Connell.
Thank you, Chief Drake. As a city, as a community, it is impossibly difficult to be here once again dealing with the devastation of gun violence in one of our school communities. As a Metro Schools parent, I know how difficult it is to receive a notification of an emergency operation at a Metro school. I can't imagine how difficult it must be to receive the notification that there has been this level of violence in a school community. I want to say as much as I can about my gratitude to Chief Drake, to Dr. Battle, to Director Chief Swan, to our Department of Emergency Communications. The level of first response here once again highlights how important our community of collaboration is. The Family Service Center behind me has been focused on victims and their needs, and we will continue to be focused on that today and for the period to follow. There have been MMPD Wellness Team, there have been the Family Intervention Program, our Nashville Fire Department's EMS division has been deeply involved in this process, and we as a community will continue to rally to ensure that resources are available to those families who have been directly impacted by this incident, and certainly to the school community. I do want to invite Dr. Adrian Battle up to talk about the Metro Schools response. Thank you, everyone.
Good afternoon. As you all can imagine, this is a heartbreaking day for the entire Antioch High School community and all of us here in Nashville and in Nashville Public Schools. Today, we lost students in a tragic incident. One student took his own life and the life of a peer, forever changing the lives of their families and everyone who knew them. My heart goes out to these families as they face unimaginable loss. At this time, we are grateful that no additional lives were lost, though at least one student is being treated for injuries. I want to thank the school staff who quickly followed emergency protocols, potentially preventing others from being harmed. Their actions were heroic on a dark day for our school community. I also want to extend my gratitude to the Nashville Police Department and Nashville Fire Department for their swift and urgent response, securing the school and caring for those impacted. This tragedy is under active investigation by law enforcement and district leadership. While we are focused on addressing the immediate situation, we are committed to understanding how and why this happened and what more we can do to prevent such tragedies in the future. Over the years, we have implemented a range of safety measures, including partnership with the MMPD through our School Resource Officer Program, shatter-resistant film, security cameras with weapon detection software, and security vestibules. Unfortunately, these measures were not enough to stop this tragedy. I know there are questions about whether additional steps, such as stationary metal detectors, should be considered. While past research has shown they have had limitations and unintended consequences, we will continue to exploring emerging technologies and strategies to strengthen school safety. Building strong relationships between students, staff, and SRO teams remains the most effective way to foster these relationships. In the coming days, we will continue to partner with MMPD and our school team. We want to continue to foster an environment where students feel safe to speak up when they see something concerning. It's important to remember that our schools have historically been safe places for learning, friendships, and growth. We cannot allow this tragedy to overshadow the positive experiences of our 80,000 students. As a former principal of Antioch High School, I've walked the halls and I've witnessed the magic that happens in its classrooms. This loss is deeply personal for me, as it is for so many in and throughout our community. Now, to allow time for students and staff to grieve, Antioch High School will be closed for the rest of this week. We are arranging a location where students and staff can receive grief counseling and other supports. As a middle school student at J.T. Moore, I experienced the pain of losing a classmate to gun violence. I know how deeply this affects families, school communities, and parents everywhere who send their children to school each day. Nashville Public Schools are committed to supporting Antioch High School's students, staff, and families in the days and weeks ahead. I am grateful for the support of our Nashville community as we navigate this very difficult time together. I would like to introduce Chief Swan, who will approach the mic at this time.
So I know there's been a lot of information that's already been put out. From my standpoint and for the Nashville Fire Department and Office of Emergency Management, from the time that the call came in, we had 10 med units respond, along with 40 other apparatuses from the fire department, including our task force team that works so closely with the police department. We did do 4 transports, all of them going to Vanderbilt. Then other assessments were done, of course, with student and staff when it was needed. From our, then the Office of Emergency Management, they're here as well to also offer all resources that are needed. The important thing here is the collaboration of everyone that you see behind us to make this situation work as best as we can. But again, we're very appreciative of the team and all the hard work is done, but we know it's a very sad day. But that's the information I can give you from the Nashville Fire Department Office of Emergency Management. Thank you.
The 4th student who was transported to Vanderbilt suffered a facial injury from a fall. It was not gunshot related. He's a male student and fell. I think he wears eyeglasses and had a facial injury as a result of the fall. And that was the 4th individual who went to Vanderbilt. We will take a limited number of questions from you now.
So the investigation is very much ongoing. So we're unsure at this time if it was targeted or if it was intended for multiple people. As I said earlier, follow our platforms and we'll put that information out as we gain more information. Our homicide detectives are actively investigating this in conjunction with the FBI, ATF, and TBI. So we've had several things in place. We have, Dr. Battle's done a lot. We've done active shooter training. They put protective film, security access into the building. This individual arrived at school on a bus and was actively a student in the school, went into the restroom, I guess, to retrieve his weapon, and then went into the cafeteria. I would say if there's anything as we progress, to always, if you see something, say something. We believe there's some materials out there, and if maybe they were seen, maybe and said something, maybe more could have been done.
Chief Drake, do we know if the shooter had a criminal history or if he has a history of bringing guns to school?
That's very much under investigation. I think there was one prior incident, but I'm unsure as to the details, but we will put that out later today.
The material that was found online, has it been vetted? Has it been confirmed that that is part of the shooter's manifesto?
We're very much looking into it, and we'll let everyone know once we get there.
The victim herself was Hispanic. What services are going to be offered for this diverse community? We know that a lot of the students here are Latino families, and we're getting a lot of calls. They're obviously very distraught and kind of really don't understand what happened.
Yeah, it's the same as we do with all other students, and we have our family intervention program. We have counselors that are available. We have members of our department that are from the Hispanic community. We'll do everything we can to make sure all notifications are made, all outreach is taken care of, and any information we'll give to them. If they need to reach out, contact the police department, and we'll help, or the metro schools, and we'll help them with any information that they need.
Chief, have you been in contact with the shooter's parents or guardians, and have they been cooperating with the investigation?
Initially, we have made contact with a parent, and that's very much it's very much ongoing. So.
Is there any information on where the student got the gun?
That is an active investigation as well. We work closely with our federal partners, and they're doing a trace on the weapon as we speak.
In terms of the reunification that we saw here today, can anybody speak about how that went, if everything kind of went smoothly, and if this site was already predetermined to be that in the event of something like that happened?
So it was not predetermined to my knowledge. We determined to be a great site to have everyone meet a little bit away from the school. To my understanding, it's gone as well as can be expected at this point. As I said earlier, we've done it systematically. We didn't want to overload the school, the Ascension Center, or the parents. And so systematically, we've released a limited number of kids and got them connected back with their families. And that'll keep going until every kid is back safely with their parent. So.
Do we know how many bullet shots the victim received, and if the shooter maybe had more ammunition?
So there was multiple rounds that were fired inside the school. Investigation would tell if there was other magazines, other ammunition, and all that. As it unfolds, this will go into the wee hours of the morning, and we'll have more information later.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
We just
next of kin notifications
conference
are just being made to the shooter's family and to the 16-year-old female. Those names will be released to you on our platforms probably within the next 30 minutes.
All right, so that's an interesting update too. So we've just heard all sorts of information just in the last few minutes from Metro Police, we've heard from the fire chief, we've also heard from Dr. Adrian Battle, and then, goodness gracious,
Freddie O'Connell
Mayor
as well.
Freddie O'Connell, who, interesting enough, one of the things we heard from Mayor O'Connell was these two words that I wrote down. He calls this an impossibly difficult situation. And in each of these cases, they've all thanked the emergency responders, they thanked the parents, they thanked the school as well for the response. But again, it is a difficult situation, and it's something that we still don't know why, right? After one of these shootings, the question that we all ask is the motive behind it, and that's what will remain tonight.
And the mayor said that the focus right now, as we move forward from today, tomorrow, the focus should be on the victims in this situation. We want to get to our Steve Mailing. Steve Mailing, you've been standing by and talking to parents as well as talking to these students at the reunification site. What are you seeing right now?
Yeah, Marius, Lauren, a new change has just happened in the last couple minutes during that press conference. Parents were just announced to go over and form this large line. So what's now going to happen is they're going to tell officials at the table their kid's name, and then they're going to have that kid put on the bus to be brought here. So this could cause that reunification process to take a little bit longer now, because they're going to have to go through this entire line, which is now wrapped around the entrance here of Ascension Medical here of Murfreesboro, going all the way up the sidewalk there. So it's definitely interesting to see what's going on, because a lot of parents are already anxious, frustrated that their kid hasn't been brought here yet. Now they're going to have to wait a little bit even longer as they continue to make announcements, change the way that they're going to reunify the kids. As I was overhearing about 10 minutes ago from a Metro Police officer talking to one of the parents here, was that if the parents aren't here at the reunification site, the kid is supposed supposed to be put back on their regular bus route, but unconfirmed information for sure right now. We're just confirming the fact that parents now have to tell their kid's name at this table. They're going to put the kid on the bus at the high school, bring the bus here to the reunification center. So things could take a little bit longer here, guys.
Yeah, Steve, I mean, and you bring up, there are 2,000 kids there.
Yeah.
And all of the teachers and all of the staff and administrators. There's a lot of people to account for. Steve, by all means, keep your information gathering. Go do what you need to do. We'll continue watching live pictures here and bringing you more information.
Yeah, we want to get you back out to our Jordan James, who's standing by with parents. And Jordan, I'm sure the parents some are relieved, some are still concerned about what the future holds for their kids at Antioch.